you're going to find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races. Only up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen, and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin. But I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately, isn't it? What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the out pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Oh, Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well. Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll up the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third. Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pite's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pite going to have a go? Werrell, don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's stuck on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Bill Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's all about the entertainment.
So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself watching Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Sim Racing Collective and to another round of the Sports Car Series as we head into the final half of this season. We've battled our way through 3 classical circuits in the form of Silverstone, Spa and Suzuka. That two favourite circuits in the world. It is, of course, Interlagos, and it's myself, Zach Sweeney, and James Parford to talk you through all of the racing action here this evening across both of our classes in the GTPs and the GT3s. And James, I've not been here the last couple of rounds. What's the crack? What's been happening?
Well, it's been very, very interesting, to be blatantly honest with you. Suzuka last time out was... It was exciting, but it's one of them races where it was exciting to the moment of when it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Jamie Nuttall took the victory and he pulled away. It was like 18 seconds in front in the GTPs. And, you know, it's got to be looked at and for, was it really that interesting? But it actually was. It was a really good race. Kieran Sharp won the GT3s last time out as well. So he's done a good job and redeemed himself. But he only won by half a second over Bakir and Hamling. So that was a very close finish, to be blatantly honest with you. So it's been good, mate. You know, you've missed some great action here as well. But, you know, I'll keep you up to date. There's the standings.
Thank you very much. I was literally just about to segue into them, so great minds think alike in that regard. Jamie Nuttall off the back of course, some brilliant race results, dropping his worst result of second, which he got at round 2. 2 wins then counting towards the 14s total. Just behind that, of course, Tom Davidson matched with Christoph Fuchs for second place on 45 points apiece. Behind that comes Vianney Rombouts ahead of Brian Pigmans. Will Radford from Liam Knott, Ian Pfeiffer just in behind that, 1 point separating 7th. Then 8th, then 9th of Patrick Den. Gurgley Conchagis, Nick Grassis, Hesketh, and James Smagscale as well. All those that have yet to score a point thus far this season. Hopefully today is going to bring them some more fortune. Of course, we've not just got the GTPs, we've got the GT3s as well. And a little bit of intrigue in that regard because look at it, matched at the top between Kieran Sharp and Volkan Bakerd. And think back to Silverstone. Hamling from Janko de Hartog, the top 4 with Jose Monteguido in 5th. Jack Southfield from Liam Giles, then Timo Omstead, the top 8. Matteo De Luca from Justin Zupan. Marcio Lopez behind that. Thomas Carner, 2 points back from that. And Ryan Walker, a further 2 points back from that as well. Miguel Ferreira from Thiago Pinho, the top 15. Then comes Joe Pinder, Hayden Miller, Quinton van Wingerden, the top 18 with Patrick Eden, Mav Gardner, Pedro Campos. A lot of names in the GT3s. Joachim Pinho, Grant Miller, Hemler, Brooker from Rodriguez. Cancelo, Antonio Franzi, and David Barnes. Quite close in both of them, and we typically see that in the TSRC, to be blatantly honest, because of the fact that they usually run sort of shorter championships in the form of about 6-round seasons. So we are sort of used to seeing pretty close championships, and this one's no different.
Yeah, definitely not. I appreciate it. Obviously, if you're sat at home and wondering where did that go, we will try to resolve the issue of Zach cutting in and out on that one as well. But give it a minute and we'll see what we can do. It's going to be very exciting. We're going into qualifying as we speak right about now. And we'll see how these guys get on. Bakirden out on track. Jamie Nuttall out on track. Tom Davidson also out on the circuit here as well. Will Bradford is another one for the GTP. It's not a GTP, GT3 separate. They're all out on track here. And they're all in their own qualifying sessions, obviously, but not actually out on track. Well, they are out on track at the same time, but then not out on track in the same session. They're all on their own. So it's kind of lone qualifying as such here once more. You can see Jamie Nuttall leading the GTPs, Davidson sitting in 2nd, Rombouts in 3rd, Gurgley Consabo in 4th, and Will Bradford, who's just lost a place to Louis Heskev. Kieran Sharp leading the GT3s on a 1:33. And there is the overall times, 1:33.825, 33.848 for Bakirden, 34.241 for Giles. Ian Pfeiffer goes up to the top of the GTPs on a 1:22.259. Nuttall 1:22.287, 22.380 for Davidson. So we'll keep an eye out and see how these times go. Nuttall sitting in 2nd. He has got a purple on the board. He got a yellow in the final sector. He goes on to pole 1:22.107. Sterling job from him. What about Davidson in the GTP? He moves himself up to 2nd. Great job there. Gwilym Hamlin for the GT3s has currently got some greens on the board. He's on his way up from Junkao now. And up through Sabina the boxes he goes, and all the way round here to the very end of the race. And if you really want to be really flash, you can go, he's going into Aquabancadas, which is the final right-hander of this straightaway, believe it or not, which translates into the bleachers. So, you know, there we go. Bit of useful or useless information, depending on which way you look at it here once again. So, yeah, see how we get on. But Golem Hamlin there, Jack Southfield absolutely dominated the GT4s on Friday. If you have not watched the GT4s from Friday, go and watch them. He absolutely dominated the rain. There was no one stronger than Jack in the rain. And then, to top it all off, he turned around and went, I've only just done some practice when I got in the car, in the session. Didn't practice before in the rain, Jack, and then goes out and wins it by like 28 seconds or something ridiculous like that. But, yeah, Southfield with an absolute flyer. Gullum Hamlin there as well. Shroom, come on, Tom D is there. Can Tom Davidson produce it for you? You know, we'll have to see how he gets on. He won at Spa, didn't he, for Davidson? So you never know how he gets on here. But obviously on board with Jack Southfield at the moment in that one. Martin Blankensteiner is there as well. So Martin out on track currently at this moment in time. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Mr. Sweeney back in the house?
I am, hopefully. I did join the Discord chat and heard you saying nice things about Jack Southfield. I was gone for 3 minutes and we descend into anarchy. You're saying nice things about Jack Southfield. That's absolutely disgraceful.
Did you watch the GT4s the other day?
Don't need to. It's Jack Southfield. There's nothing nice to say about him ever.
He dominated. Bro, he led by 30 seconds at least. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. It was an outstanding drive. I've got to give credit where credit's due, dude. He drove exceptionally well.
See, this is where you and I differ, because even if they do well, I'm kind of like, well. You know, like where Jamie Nuttall won at Silverstone, and all I could bring up was the fact that he bottled the pit lane entry at Oschersleben in the GT. Was it the GT4s? Maybe, I think it might have been, whatever it was. But yeah, when it comes to the Sim Racing Collective, guys, no one is ever safe. We are trailing towards the end of qualifying, though. And speaking of Jamie Nuttall, he is on provisional pole. Not by very much, though. There's what is that, 14 thousandths of a second between himself and Tom Davidson at the front.
Yes.
It's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot whatsoever. I think this could be interesting. I love this circuit, though. So, to be fair, they could be racing around here in soapboxes, and I wouldn't really care. It's just the fact that we're at Interlagos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, fair enough. I can definitely understand. I've come to sort of learn your appeal towards Interlagos, and rightfully so, which is why it confuses me ever so much more as to the order of this calendar. I know we had a brief discussion with Kieran back at Silverstone about it.
Yeah.
In the sense that you've got Silverstone, Spa, Suzuka, Interlagos, and Monza, and yet you end the season on Sebring. But
You're not a lover of Sebring, are you?
I hate it. Absolutely despise the track.
We're going down the same path as Mr. O'Leary at this moment in time.
You know what? I'll take that. Me and O'Leary, we go back, and I don't like Sebring. Do you see the appeal? Are you a Sebring? Like, to me, it's like Marmite. It's the Marmite of racetracks. You either love it or you hate it.
I see the appeal for it. I'm because of the fact that I've driven it before, and I've driven it quite a few times. That, you know, you've got the bumps to take care of. You've got the straights. You've got some difficult corners running up through Tower, Collier, all that way. And I can see the appeal, and I physically can. I'm not too displeased if Sebring's on a calendar, but I can also see why people sit back and think it's boring, it's flat. But then again, people love Silverstone, and I can't stand that track. It drives me nuts. It's
really,
yeah, it's boring. It's no different to Sebring. It's Sebring without the bumps. It's the same. It's flat. It's flat as a pancake. Where Sebring, yes, although it's flat, it's got the bumps to contend with. There's some interesting corners. Silverstone, Maggots, Beckett's complex. Buy it. Nothing else to really worry about. I'm not a lover, dude. I really ain't. And I'd rather turn my nose up at Silverstone than I do at Sebring.
Interesting. Right. Okay. This is my formal resignation from JP Broadcast. No.
Really?
As much as I wish I could do that. To be fair, I probably could. I won't. On the pure basis of Silverstone, it's probably going to take a little bit more than that. Come for a track. I'm passionate. I'm trying to think of a track I'm genuinely going to back to the grave. Anyway, come for that track that I've not yet decided, and then we'll maybe have some more issues. Back to the qualifying session, by the way, which has happened and has concluded. We'll run you through the grid order as soon as we can. What we can tell you, of course, for free is that it's Jamie Nuttall.
Hold on.
From Vianney Rom Gergely can show in 5th. Of course, but behind that is Martin Blankensteiner for the top 3 rows. It's not a very extensive GTP field, only 8 cars. Louis Hesketh from Will Bradford, the 8 cars that will take to that particular class. Separated start, of course, before you get to the GT3s, where it's Volkan Bakirden from Kieran Sharp, our championship leaders, 1 and 2 on the grid. Jack Sauerfield, speaking big of him, from 3rd place on the grid. What can he do as he works his way forward? Ahead, of course, of Guillaume Hamling, who'll keep him company on row number 2. Of course, it's row number 6 of the overall field, but they are, of course, separated. Behind that, of course, we'll speak you through the rest of the field when we can confirm them and get them up. But based on the timings, as you can see there, it's Liam Giles from Thomas Kana, Jose M from Matteo De Luca, the top 16 overall. Then comes Thiago Pinot, Juan Rodriguez Cancelo, the 398 machine just behind. Grant Miller from Marcio Lopez. Then comes Thomas Hemmler from Stefan Hutter. Marv Gardner from Joachim Pinho, the top 24 overall, and the top.
You'll come back in a minute.
What was it you said to me for the first time in 3 years?
First time in 3 years, yeah, I've registered as a driver by accident.
Despicable.
Hey, listen, look, first time. That's all I'm going to say. First time. Out of 3 years. That's not bad at all. Come on, give me a break.
No, never. It's fine. We've all had discrepancies and issues, I suppose. The race by itself, though, is about to get itself underway. Jamie Nuttall will lead them, of course, from pole position, and he's going to want to try and get away as quickly as possible. Pit stops, of course, are going to be, well, not necessarily mandatory, but your fuel tanks are not going to allow you to get to the end for both classes. And pit stops into Lagos, how important are we going to weigh them up?
They've got to go in full speed. They've got to go in and leave that brake in as late as possible. Into Lagos, you're approaching at certain points 200 miles an hour, and they've got to literally go in and get down to speed really, really quickly. But they've got to do it as late as possible. They should have practiced. If they haven't, yeah, it could be quite exciting.
Yeah, pit lane entry is not really that thing that you give too much thought to, but it's one of those things that you can gain very little, but you can also equally lose a lot. And that's something these drivers are going to be having to weigh up. Nice to see that we've got a shortened formation lap as opposed to Silverstone, which caught us out a couple of weeks ago. Well, I say caught us out, they caught me out, I'll admit that one.
I was going to say, I had nothing to do with that. Don't bring me into it.
No, if I go down, if we go down, we go down together. You know what I mean?
What are we on the Titanic or something? Is
yeah, no, exactly. Celine Dion is just, she's copyright. We can't play her on the YouTube. Anyway, we're heading our way towards the final couple of corners, and Jamie Nuttall that controls the pace very quickly. Who's winning this race?
Davidson in the GTP, Bakirden in the GT3.
Very interesting. I'm gonna go Nuttall and Sharp just to flip it in terms of the championship leaders that we're going to go for this race. Of course, there's going to be 45 minutes on the clock, a mandatory pit stop as well. We kickstart the second half of the Sim Racing Collective Sports Car Series, and they're going again.
You can tell they're going again. The pace car lights are now.
He's not moving in. Why are we doing a lap and a half?
I can't answer the question, but they've clearly done a boo-boo. It seems to be they're not the only ones, right? This is the thing. When you set it at full pace lap, you get a full pace lap. But every league I've done so far that's gone for the half pace lap, you end up with a half and a pace lap. Or a pace lap and a half, depending on which way around English should be. So, yeah, you're better off just setting it for a full pace lap and having done with it. Because, let's face it, you end up with a lap and a half anyway.
Brilliant. Well, there we go. We are going to have a repeat of Silverstone, by the way. That's brilliant. Lovely. It's fine. So now we get more time to, I don't know,
Waffle on.
talk or something. I don't know. What are we here to do? I don't know. Basically,
I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, sometimes we get the luxury of talking on pretend race cars, as you put it, and pretend race circuits, or virtual pretend race circuits, depending on whichever round you're looking at it. But you got to think, you know, at least we're going to have some fun while we're here.
yeah, true. That is always true. It's never a boring time in the commentary box with James Parfitt. For one reason or another, we do like to keep ourselves satisfied when we're talking about said pretend race cars. Of course, the formation lap, though, it's not necessarily with. You know, it's not without its merits when it comes to sort of more time to warm up the tyres, warm up the brakes, and especially in cars as sensitive as the GTPs, making sure everything's warmed up, ready to go. Not only the car itself, but you in the cockpit is going to be important.
Yeah, it is. You just sit back, you relax, you chill out, you make sure you've hit your braking point. You know, you just kind of drive around and think, right, I've got to hit my point here, or I'm going to hit it there, or what am I going to do with it? Drive around. You might give the steering wheel a little bit of a wiggle because you think that helps, when really it doesn't do a lot, to be honest. However, don't wiggle it too much, because there was a race I did earlier, the guy wiggled the steering wheel and spun it on a pace lap, so that was quite amusing. I did laugh. I know I shouldn't, but you know, sometimes.
Don't spin on a formation lap then.
Yeah, that's the situation. But other than that, dude, you're just going to sit and chill, drive around slowly, make sure you don't hit anybody, make sure nobody comes and hurts it up the inside or whatever, and get ready to go green. So, yeah.
Yeah, enjoy it. Just enjoy it while you're going slowly, because after this you're going to be pretty much full on all the way to the checker flag. No time to chill, no time to rest. It's once the green flag waves, you're pretty much not lifting until either you see God or a checkered flag. As I think was it Talladega Nights that eloquently put that, or one of the NASCAR drivers? Anyway, it's one or the other. And for these guys, they're going to want to see the checkered flag ideally first. You went for Davidson, I'm going for Nuttall. Maybe we could be surprised from people in behind. Well, find out, of course, as the pace car is coming in this lap.
It is. Lights are off.
Ideal. Then we're gonna watch it peel it. Watch it just carry on. He's just like, nah, I want to race too, guys. That would be biblical. Hopefully not the case, but there we go. We're already 7 minutes into the race server, and we're only now going to be able to get ourselves going again. The race iRacing pace car is going to peel off. Jamie Nuttall will control the pace from pole position. Tom Davidson is championship rival alongside with Ian Pfeiffer and Viadi Rombouts, the front two rows. Green flag waves, and we get racing here at Interlagos, side by side immediately for the lead. There we go. Tom Davidson looking to look to the outside of Jamie Nuttall, but no way through. Ian Pfeiffer then is going to look to the inside of the ZRSs, but again, no way through as they work their way into turn number 3. Look at the gap that Jamie Nuttall has been able to bridge already because of that attack from the 64. Tom Davidson now has to be looking on the defensive as they head their way towards turn number 4. There's the situation in the GT3s, and there's absolute chaos through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, there has been a lot of carnage in the GT3s, a lot of carnage, and we'll catch up on some of the action. This is Louis Heskev in the GTPs to start off with. He has a problem, little bit of contact, he's going around it. Ready, there you go, for Louis in that orange machine, and then it all kicks off here in the GT3s. There's the first lot, there's the second lot, there's the third one, and everybody's just kind of punting everybody really, which is a little bit bizarre, but it starts at the front with Kieran Sharp.
Here we go, my point, my prediction, and there he is, spearing off into the AstroTurf, and there we go, further contact, that sort of ping ball effect in the middle, and catches a number of drivers off guard. Thomas Kana, who of course was starting towards the front end of the field, P6
That's
for him.
Volkan
Bakirden involved as well.
It was him who set it off.
So the Catalysts were the two championship rivals that were on the front row. Bakirden then, of course, tucked in behind the Mustang, just able to, well, just a bit of a tap going into turn 1. And then he's the one that gets dinked into the left. So maybe karma going the way of the 54. Of course, they start when the GTP start. They don't have to wait until the light. So already their race start had already happened as such. Tom Davidson, though, giving Viadi Rombouts the squeeze all the way to the inside of turn number 4. The 42 defensive as the 18 of Rombouts tries to get back underneath him. Not quite able to through the next left, but up the hill towards the double apex right-hander of turn 6 and 7. Let's see if Rombouts can find a way through. Davidson's able to make the car nice and wide. What it's doing, though, is Nuttall over 2 seconds already as we've barely started lap 2.
Yeah, they are. They are, and it's been for Davidson. Do you know the problem was there was contact between Davidson and Nuttall that threw Davidson off for turn 1, and then after that he couldn't get back because Pfeiffer was then coming at him, and now Rombaerts is coming at him. So all Davidson's problems stem from the beginning of the contact at turn 1, and that was the issue. And he's just not been able to get back up. He's got to try and find a way to break away from the pace. The problem is, when they start to come round on the back of the GT3s, Davidson really needs to be a lot closer. He cannot afford to be this far back because Nuttall's going to have his own way going through the GT3s, and then Davidson's just rushing and rushing and rushing to try and get through, which could cause mass drama. So he really, really needs to get as close as he can. The problem is, has he got anything to get as close as he can?
Well, we'll find out, of course, 3 minutes into a 45-minute race. While it is, in retrospect, a sprint, there is still a lot of sort of investing in the end game sort of style tactics that you have to play. And right now, Tom Davidson not doing himself a world of favors and allowing not just the race leader, but his championship rival to get away. Jamie Nuttall, of course, will be looking for his 3rd win of the season. His worst finish is 2nd, and that's the one that gets dropped. That is the season that Jamie Nuttall is having. And at this stage, round 4 of a 6-race season, if you are not on the same level as your rival and not, you know, sort of toe-to-toe with them in terms of race victories or pole positions or whatever, then at what point does the championship start to slip away? And Jamie Nuttall really now, I mean, at this stage of the season and based on the form he's given us, not only obviously this race, but as I say, the season as a whole, he's got to be expecting it at the championship at the end of the season, not just hoping for it, but expecting it.
Yeah, he's in a weird place at the moment, right? Because he knows that his drop scores is 2nd place. The problem is if he sits back and thinks, I've got this now, you know what I mean, and get all arrogant about it, it could all go wrong. And let's face it, when you're in multi-class and you're in races with a slower class, anything can go wrong, generally will go wrong, and pretty much you're guaranteed for it to go wrong because you go in there with confidence, or you make a silly dive in, or you do something that puts you under immense pressure, and then before you know it, you're spinning off the side of the gravel and you've got a 0 to drop, you know what I mean? So he's got to be a little bit sensible. I know he's fast and he's coming onto the back of the GT3s now, Jamie, but he's still got to be a little bit sensible about it.
That's true. Complacency can be a big problem and something that definitely has caught out a number of different drivers across all different disciplines over the years. And yeah, it's something that he can't fall victim to, but you have to say that he's got a pretty comfortable blanket and pretty comfortable safety net to fall back on. But you're right, yeah, at the end of the day, you still got to be pedaling on for the best results. It just means that when we get to round 5 and ultimately round 6 at that track that we're going to, don't get me started again. Anyway, it means that if he's still got that 2nd place drop score, the worst place, mathematically he can finish a 2nd. Even if he finishes 3rd or lower, he then gets that 2nd place reinstated and effectively finishes 2nd. And that is a really good, bad day to have if you're coming out of it finishing 2nd. So Nuttall at the moment, both metaphorically and literally in the driving seat. It's getting quite busy though in the GT3s. Pack racing as we usually come to expect. Matteo De Luca, of course, in that beautiful McLaren 720S, now trying to carve his way through the field. So too is Kieran Sharp on his ascent back through. It's Jack Southfield that leads from Liam Giles and Tiogo Pinho, but look out for Kieran Sharp because a spin at turn 1 is not enough to deter him from fighting back in this championship.
No, he's going to put his head down and think, I've got work to do. You know what I mean? It's like a let's go to work. Do you know what? I loved that Mav Gardner livery. I loved them as a kid. We used to get them delivered by the Milton caramel bars. You can still actually get them in a shop, just to let you know as well. They are absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, for Kieran Sharp, he's just got work. He's got to go to work, isn't he? Got to earn his money, he's got to do his job, and he's got to make sure that he's getting up there. So go for it, Kieran. Do it. You can do it. I'm sure. I don't know how far he can get, mind you, and whether or not he'll get up to the back of Jack Southfield, but he's ahead of a Kieran, which is one of the main things he needs at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Right now in 6th, and See, off the back of Hamler, 3 seconds. That's a manageable gap, but the problem then lies is the fact that he's over 10, he's 13 seconds off the back of the class leader that is Jack Southfield. That is a huge gap to close, and while there is pit stops and things to assist him along the way, it is going to be difficult for Kieran Sharp to still win this race. Thus far this season, though, just looking and tracking his results thus far, it's a second place and a first place that have his counted scores. Round 2, though, we took to Spa, was a DNF for him, which means every score effectively now counts. He doesn't have a scapegoat, which is why a spin at that stage is so catastrophic. Volkan Bakirden's fine. His drop score, similar to Nuttall, is a P2. He's chilling because, again, worst case scenario, he just bins this round off and takes a second place. Kieran Sharp, however, cannot afford that. Does that potentially motivate Kieran Sharp, or is it the burden that's going to slow him down?
With motor racing drivers in general, right, you've got to look at mentality, right? They drive on confidence. That's the thing. And Kieran Sharp can have a bag of confidence. And he's just got to make sure that he's aware of who he's got and where he's got. He's got to play his pit stops fully now. He's got to know where he's going to stop, when he's going to stop, and who's he going to be in and around when he does stop. Because although Southfield's out in front, he's still got Giles pushing him. We know Bakirden's behind and he's still running. He's the one who caused all the melodrama at the beginning. You know, it was like a big mass episode of EastEnders going on, all in turn 1 there. There was so much happening. People were beating up each other all over the place. But he's got to now put his head down and he's got to go as well. For Kieran Sharp, I don't think he's going to have any problems. It's going to spur him on. He's going to start making moves through. I wouldn't be surprised if he works his way up to the top 3.
I think a podium definitely is manageable. Just depends as to how much smoke has been blown up the backside of the 23 in order to spear him on. Of course, he's got a pretty nippy car in the form of that Porsche 911 GT3, as that's getting very tight with the GTPs working their way through. Of course, it's an inevitable axiom, I suppose, of GT3 and multi-class racing. Of course, especially at a circuit as tight as Interlagos, traffic is going to give, traffic is going to take, and well, here we go. Sometimes it can just go a little bit wrong. Guillaume Hamling looking to fight his way through, and there we go. The slight little dink from the traffic dinks Guillaume Hamling, and the domino effect has caused him to spin.
Yeah, well, Bradford had a moment in behind that as well. But I think that may have something to do with Guillaume Hamling being probably across the side of the circuit. It does. Oh! And then that was Gergely Consabo in the wall. So unfortunately for Consabo there, he was part of that and ended up in the wall. It's all got a little bit chaotic. You would have thought by now, you know, they would have, we're up quite far up in the calendar. You know, we're on round 4, but silly things like that, it's just not really needed. He's going to dive him like crazy. Then he's going to overcook it in the vet. Oh, there you go.
Not the smartest move from Matteo De Luca, and it's not even the fact he went for the late braking, it's more the fact he drifted his way over to the right-hand side and effectively pit maneuvered himself. Thomas Kahner, another driver involved in the early lap shenanigans, trying to fight with the 1-2-3 that, of course, is Thomas Hemner. The Dane goes side by side with the Estonian, and it is going to be Kahner that works his way through in the beautifully liveried Bilstein Mercedes. Of course, Bilstein as sort of an outfit in racing, gaining some traction, particularly in the YouTube scene, of course, with their Nürburgring 24-hour efforts with the likes of Super GT and Jimmy Broadbent and Misha, of course, rumoured 4th driver to be jumping in for next year, unless it's already been announced, I don't know, but everyone thinks Yardier is going to be jumping into that particular outfit. Of course, that's in a BMW M4, not quite a Mercedes, but a beautiful livery and a beautiful colour scheme nonetheless, going the way of the 777, who's now up into 6th place. There's our leader, though, Jack Southfield, in the pure American muscle. That is that Ford Mustang. You know what? I've been watching a lot of Fast and Furious lately because I've just realised how many there are, and I've been working my way through, and I've got to say that Mustang is probably the most Dominic Toretto thing I've ever seen in my life.
Do you know the good thing about the Mustang is it's got wicked straight line speed. Bad thing about it. I wonder why. Yeah, the bad thing about it. What do you reckon?
Is it a boat?
Yeah, it's not the most easiest car to drive. Let's put it this way: you could just jump in it and be quick. You need to learn it. It can be a little bit of a boat to drive, to be honest. And when you watch it go head-to-head with a BMW, now we all know how big the BMW is. It is unbelievable that that Mustang, I think, is probably a touch fractional bigger than the BMW as well. So, yeah, it's a very difficult car. You can't just jump in it. You have to be careful.
Yeah, interesting that Jack Southfield has opted for it. He does like big cars, because remember, over in the world of ACC, he does he has liked a Bentley and sort of those sorts of things. The Bentley Continental GT3, of course, is a big chunky boy. So not sure what it is about Jack Southfield. He goes for big cars, and you know what they say about people with big cars. The 98 running his way through the final couple of corners. He's got Liam Giles for company, though, and that is something that is going to be playing on the mind of Jack Southfield. You said, of course, on Friday he dominated by sort of over 30 seconds or so. Now he's got less than a single second. Let's see how he does under pressure.
Oh, he nearly had more time on his hands there. He nearly had more time on his hands there with Liam Giles and that GTP in front. Who was that? Louis Hesketh. Well, yeah, nearly put himself in danger. But yeah, Southfield, though, I think the problem was Southfield was so comfortable on Friday. He was dominating on Friday. And I think that now he's got this car that won't go away. It's like that annoying fly that you can't swat that flies off quick enough. You know, and I'm not saying Liam Giles is a fly, but you get where I'm going. And he's just now got to try and keep working and working and working. And at the end of the day, it doesn't take much to make a mistake. And some of the GTPs coming through are a little bit hairy. So, yeah, Southfield, get your head down and carry on, son. That's what I say.
Exactly. The race is only going to be in front of you. And that's something that you really quickly have to learn, pretty much from karting, if that's the route that people take going into racing, which, you know, conventionally, traditionally is the one they do. And the theory behind it is the more you look over your shoulder, the slower you're going to go. And it applies going into cars and even in sim racing. The more you look in your mirror, the less you're focused on what's in front of you, and the slower naturally you're going to go. And the easier it's going to be for them to reel themselves in. The moment you sort of look over your shoulder or look into your mirrors or press the look back button or whatever it is the moment you give in to that and you let them get into your head. If you just look outside the windscreen, focus on hitting your braking markers, taking your racing lines, getting on the apexes and putting the power down, then most of the time you're going to get away with, at the very least, keeping them at arm's length. But it's easy for a driver, particularly Liam Giles, to maybe get inside your head and throw you off a little bit. The gap, however, Jack Southfield doing exactly what Jack Southfield recently has been doing best, which is to bridge the gap open to 1.5 seconds. And this is a gap that he's going to continue to build upon. Liam Giles, he's going to need to hope that when the pit stops roll around, that Mustang, understandably, as Mustangs typically do, is drunk a lot of fuel that needs to get put back into the car, that Giles can make back up again.
Yeah, he's just going to have to keep going. But Giles, he's in the Mercedes, which in conjunction with the cars in and around him seems quite old now. So he's just got to go and he's got to keep it on track. I think that's the main thing. The moment Giles makes a mistake, forget about it. Game over, job's a good one, it's done. So for him, he's got to make sure that he keeps it on track. One other man has got to make sure he keeps it on track as well is Kieran Sharp, because we're just about up to Tiago Pinho in 4th place at the moment for Sharp. So he's almost there and thereabouts.
Yeah, he's working his way through really quickly. We're about a third of the way through, or just over a third of the way through the race. We're 16 minutes into a 45-minute race, and look at that. Look at Kieran Sharp pushing on the back of the McLaren 720S, of course, one of the more recent additions to iRacing, and what a gorgeous car that is. Definitely one of my favorite GT3s, not only sort of to drive, and whilst I say drive, I've not driven the iRacing spec. I've driven it on a Assetto Corsa, and what a car it is, especially as well in comparison to the 296 GT3. Both of them are absolutely fantastic, but it seems the Porsche, particularly at the hands of Kieran Sharp, doing quite a nice job as to keep him on the back. And I've got to say, I'm impressed with Kieran Sharp, and it won't be often you hear me say nice things about him, but he's playing the patient game really nicely. A driver that, of course, has got a championship on the line, had that spin earlier on. He still understands that this race has still got just shy of half an hour left to go in it. He's not in a rush, and he's not making rash decisions that are going to put him once again on that back foot, or maybe even a worse foot. He's taking his time, being methodical about his approach, and so far it's working.
It is. I think Kieran is one of these people that can appreciate the time that we've got. And by what I mean like that, I don't mean, you know, time, how long we got on the earth. What I mean is how much time is in the race. He knows that that was lap 1. And he knows from lap 1 he's got 45 minutes to try and come through the field. There's no need for him to rush it. He's down 2 from where he qualified, and that's purely because he had the incident. So he knows that he can just take his time to get there. Realistically, unless he tries something amazing, he's not going to catch Charles. He ain't going to catch Southfield. But he can clear Pino, and he can clear Rodriguez Cancel as well. So, you know, Kieran is calm. He'll be all right. He will be all right, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him a little bit further up.
Exactly. We're just shy of 18 minutes through, and he has spent about a lap behind the McLaren. And that, again, while we're commending his patience, it will get to a point where maybe he does need to get a little bit of a wiggle on, just to make sure that he closes in on the podium, which definitely is attainable. Rodriguez Cancel is it's definitely within touching distance for Kieran Sharp. That podium definitely is. But say he finishes 3rd, he still will be losing net points compared to his rival, of course, of Volkan Bakirden. And when they're tied on points in the championship, that means that going into the final 2 rounds, it will be Bakirden that leads the championship. Of course, Bakirden down in P11 in class, so that will then become his next drop score, which means that between the pair of them, you can't afford to risk anything for the final 2 rounds. In fact, you know, taking too many risks is going to be costly for the championship. So it will put them near enough on equal pegging in terms of the drop score situation that Kieran Sharp has had to be battling with. But still, you know, he needs to be getting the most out of this race, because when your championship rival has got such a good result in the bag, and you know, you've sort of been involved in something at turn 1, which of course is the harsh reality of racing, you're going to need to step up and score some points.
Yeah, that's it. It's trying to... This is where drop scores get so complicated. You know, they're allowed to drop their lowest scores, right? That's effectively how it works. So they might be scored for 6 rounds, and say they score 50 points per round, right? So their lowest score technically would be 50. So that's how it kind of works with drop scores. But the eye-opening thing of them is when it comes to working out any form of mathematics for us up here in the booth, it can be a little bit of a complicated situation. So we try and stay away from it. But for Sharp, he just needs to make sure that he's got, you know, a decent drop score when it comes to it, and one that hopefully he shouldn't have that issue with, and see what Bakirden gets up to, because effectively, as you say, this will be Bakirden's drop score.
It will be indeed. And of course, pit stops and everything still to come into play. We're closing in on half distance on the race. That'll happen at 22.5 minutes through, and that's typically where we're going to start to see the first sort of couple of pit stops coming in. We've seen before with drivers going slightly longer, as that got very close to of course Thomas Pinot, and that could open the door for Kieran Sharp to maybe have a little bit of a look going into the right hand. The outside line favours the McLaren, but doesn't quite get the power down, and it's going to give Kieran Sharp the leg up going into that long left-hander. Of course, as the GTPs work their way through, that's the 42 of Tom Davidson, of course, 2nd place at the moment in class, and wants to be fighting his way through. But Kieran Sharp, their patience worked out for him, waited for the traffic to open the gap up, he filled it, and now won't be looking back.
And that's exactly what I said. He doesn't need to rush these through. He knows what's coming. He knows there's pit stops. He knows there's traffic. He knows there could be incidents and accidents. There was no need for him to rush as well, as we've seen the first GTP in. Ian Pfeiffer's in the pits lane here. So for Kieran Sharp, take your time, mate. Get onto the back of Rodriguez Cancel, and you'll be fine. I don't think it'll be a problem. Do you know the weirdest thing is, I wouldn't be shocked to see Kieran 2nd or something like that.
No, to be honest, again, anything can happen. And like you said earlier, anything probably will happen, right? So as long as he just keeps his head down, anything can happen. Remember, the race leaders, Jack Southfield, Liam Giles 1 and 2, you know, it's Jack Southfield leading the way. Kieran Sharp probably like, sweet, free position. Honestly, I would be if I was him. No, all jokes aside, Jack Southfield is a phenomenal driver, but you've got to have that in the back of your head. You sort of prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? You're sort of not pessimistic, but you're not overly optimistic either. You're sort of just the glass is, I don't know, the glass is just filled with a little bit of water. That's your perspective. I don't know. I don't know what the
Where were
the
you
middle
going
ground
with
between-
that?
I don't know. I'm trying to find the middle ground between glass half full and glass half empty, but there's no sort of neutral way to put it apart from it's got water in it. So that's the view that Kieran Sharp has got. The glass has water in it. That's the view you've got to have, though. You're hopeful that something's going to go wrong, but you still drive the wheels off the car as if nothing is going to happen, and that's exactly what he's been doing.
Yeah, he can't afford to worry. I think that's the thing for Kieran. He can't afford to worry about it. He's just got to sit back, get on, chill, and have done with it. He can't afford to worry about what's going on. A good racing driver will always recover. A bad racing driver, you will see, will have another accident on top of another accident on top of another accident. And why is that? Because he's over driving the car. That's the problem. So I don't think Kieran Sharp will do that. I think he'll just carry on. And as I said, with pit stops coming up as well, Zach, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see them, if he's at the top when we see it.
Maybe so, yeah. Maybe this whole time it's just been L planned for Kieran Sharp to save a little bit of fuel here and there. Definitely adds up, especially at a circuit as undulating as Interlagos. It obviously makes it slightly easier for you to save a bit of fuel. Obviously the uphills are going to hurt a little bit more, but coast your way down the downhills, maybe clutch in at times to reduce the amount of engine braking while still also saving just that little bit of fuel. So the differential between, obviously it's always going to be better to coast as opposed to clutch in, but you lose a little bit less speed if you clutch in. So the payoff from pace to fuel saving is maybe a little bit better, but so many different ways you can do it, and so many different ways that you've got to master how to do it if you want to fight at the front. Because one thing that very quickly you learn when you get into competitive racing, it's not just about lap time.
And it isn't. You can drive this week. I tell you what, prime example, this week is the SR10 at Nords. I can guarantee you, you can go and sit at the back, wait 30 seconds, and you'll finish in the top 10. Why? Because they'll all rush and go and crash into each other.
Oh yeah. That's why whenever you're starting out in iRacing, and if there's anyone's watching out there that's yet to sort of maybe take their step onto the iRacing ladder, if you do, or when I say when you do, because you're going to give in, it's almost inevitable. I did. I said I'm never going to spend loads of money on iRacing, and within 3 weeks I think I spent about 200 quid. So it does happen. You get reeled in very quickly. But in rookies, start in the pit lane. Every lap, every single race you do, start in the pit lane to initially just get that safety rating up. And honestly, you'll actually find that even though you're starting in the pit lane, you still finish in maybe the top 7, top 8, depending on the field size, because people are numpties. And that's the way that you've got to drive. You effectively have to drive assuming that no one else knows how to drive. So having that sense of caution around you, especially sort of in the opening laps or when it gets busy with traffic, you've got to assume that you are the only competent person on the track and drive accordingly.
You are right. The thing is, there's nothing I can say that is going to say anything different. Because you're right. As far as I'm concerned, when you go into every race in an official, the people around you can't drive. And you can guarantee 2 things. The person in the Red Bull livery and the person who says good luck at the beginning. They'll be the first 2 to crash. Every time. Why? Because it's just the way it is. Because they'll be the ones who will rush to the front, like they're Max Verstappen in a Red Bull livery, and before you know it, pish pash posh, they're the first ones in the wall.
Yeah, I've always found it really tacky as well to put F1 liveries on cars that aren't F1 cars. Like, it's just the original, man. Mav Gardner is making his way into the pit lane, and obviously speaking of original liveries, that one is fantastic. There's Jack Southfield, though. Whilst it is an original, the Sim Racing Collective livery, more than one car has got it, so you sort of get docked a couple of brownie points for that one. Tom Davidson, though, by the way,
Closed up.
He's closed up, yeah. I was about to say the gap sort of in the opening couple of laps was about 3 seconds or so. He's been able to sort of reel him back in, and that's going to be vital for his championship as sort of we head towards the final couple of rounds. At the moment, he's sort of, you know, over 10 points behind. There's 2 GT3s battle just in front of him, and there we go. Get the power down. This is how traffic can not only give to the GT3s, but also the GTPs. on the foot out of turn number 3 and towards turn number 4. Let's see if Tom Davidson is going to be able to go for the move. There's Mav Gardner leaving the pit lane of that Porsche. He's not quite close enough on this occasion, but that gap more than halves. And again, like I was saying with the championship, he needs it.
The problem is as well, Mav Gardner was on full left of the circuit, so there was really nowhere for Davidson to go. He couldn't make a dive up the inside because, let's face it, he didn't have the room with that GT3 on the inside. So he had to sit there. He had a great opportunity when they got stuck behind them GT3s coming through the centre S's. The only thing he had to do was take it to the right of Nuttall and use the GT3s in front to block him in. He didn't do that. That's why we're still in second place. He had an opportunity and he could have used the GT3s in front to block him in.
Yeah, exactly. It was clever driving on the part of Nuttall, maybe just to keep that car behind. Maybe a missed opportunity for Davidson, but the bottom line is that he didn't lose anything from it. The gap is still there, as he, of course, still got a little bit more traffic to contend with. I think they're both going to be okay as to catch them in just the right spot. You can be slow. Actually, no. That 54 machine, that, of course, is Volkan Bekirden in the Audi R8. That's going to catch Tom Davidson off guard. And look at the gap. What was it? Not 1.5 corners spent behind the Audi, and it's opened up a 1.5 second differential between the pair of them. That is how costly it can be, and he was half a second off making it past, and that is the tragic thing about multi-class racing, and maybe that is why it was a missed opportunity a lap ago for Davidson to not find a way through on Nuttall.
Oh, dude, you're not wrong. You are not wrong, and I don't say them words very often.
No, you do. Now you do. You're starting to say it more often, so the fact that you then caveat by saying I don't say it often is actually now false, because you know that I'm right all the time.
No, because then the big-headedness comes out, and you know, there's some
then
people
I start
who
charging more, and
there's the cockiness, and then there's confidence that becomes cockiness, you know. And sometimes you've got to look at
keep me in check.
Yeah, you've got to knock you down a peg or two, because don't forget, at the end of the day, you know, you're just a human being as well, and it doesn't smell like roses.
Doesn't smell. It smells like caramel. I'd love for it to smell like caramel right now. Mav Gardner looking gorgeous. I love the smell of caramel, honestly. And we're getting into the time of the year where candles start to smell really good. Halloween, Christmas time, candles start to smell really good. Is your wife not candle obsessed? Do you not spend like ages in B&M?
I've got loads of them. She sniffs the hell out of them. Babe, smell that. Smell that. Oh, I really don't want to, darling, but okay. We need that.
And then she'll do all of that and then put it down.
Yeah. Or she'll go and go, oh, think about it.
Yeah.
Pick it up,
all
love.
the time. It's an experience, though. There's nothing better than being in Primark, being overwhelmed by everyone around you in Primark, just to sniff all the candles. It's an experience that people outside of the UK unfortunately don't get to do. Do you know what? I was in Zara the other week shopping for my sister's birthday, and the perfumes in Zara are in the queue. So when we went to get my sister's perfume, we had to awkwardly stand in the queue. My youngest sisters wanted to sniff all of them to find the right one. I've never been more both overwhelmed / awkward in my entire life. And there we go. It's crazy how quickly we can go off on a tangent, isn't it? Anyway, this is Mav Gardner. He's on the back, fighting with Guillaume Hamling, who's on the back of him in that Lamborghini. We've got just under 15 minutes of round number 4 of the Sim Racing Collective sports car series, of course, brought to you by Abruzzi. And head over to their website and use the affiliate code, and you can get yourself a nice little discount off some of their products, top quality sim racing stuff over on Abruzzi. So definitely go give it a check out, especially, I was going to say now we're towards Christmas, but it's not even Halloween. Are we allowed to say it's on the way to Christmas yet? I don't think so.
I'd like to point out that I did my first bit of Christmas shopping.
Did you? Wow.
Did. Partly because the wife made me.
It's always her fault.
Yeah. Hey, look, trust me, it was. So I don't think so, especially when you walk into places like B&M's and Home Bargains, and there's just a whole aisle of Christmas stuff. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing here. It's disgusting that we've got Christmas before we've even got Halloween. But what we have got is Mav Gardner and Guillaume Hamlin. Is Hamlin going to go? He's been stuck behind him for a while here. Both men are pitted, so it's not like they need to save fuel here, but Hamlin's just not moving and going forward whatsoever.
No, not quite. I've just noticed a really nice touch of detail on the side of the caravan. It says net 1,250 kilograms, which obviously is a rather large chocolate bar, but it's because it's pretty much bang on in terms of the weight of that Porsche 911 GT3. And I love that. So the more you look at the livery, the more you fall in love with it. Mav Gardner, you earn all the style points. Was behind it. It looks like a drumstick in the form of that Lamborghini, to be honest, in the color scheme. I don't hate it at all. Guillaume Hamling looks to the outside. This, of course, the battle for 14th in GT, well, 14th overall. The fight for GT3s is for P7 in class. Mav Gardner, by the way, up 8 places as Thiago Pinot has some problems in his McLaren.
Dude.
Oh, he's beating himself.
Yeah. Too many beans, son. Ooh. Not the best rejoin. You're lucky that Joaquin Pino is on your same team, I believe. However, Vulcan Bakirin's day has just got somewhat exceptionally worse. Oh, bro, you're too quick. Too quick. Say hi to your rear end. As he does, Bakirin goes round. And Will Bradford is also having a bit of a rotten evening as well. And guess what's going to happen here, Zach?
Let's have a look. Oh, no. We'll have to ride on board with him to see when he comes into view.
I don't know, maybe the spot will go in yellow flag?
Yeah,
about
maybe.
Now?
Maybe seeing that he's spun, because if you're looking far enough ahead, you'll see that he's spun.
Mm-hmm.
That is why, ladies and gentlemen, basically, you look to the next reference. So in a straight, you look to your braking. Then when you're at your braking, you look at your turning. When you're at your turning, you look to the apex. At the apex, you look to the exit. That's going to give you enough time to react. Joe Pinder, though, onto the grass and around you go. That's an unfortunate affair for that McLaren 720S. Back to the live action, of course, and it's still Gardner from Hamling. The top 2 in the GTPs are in, Nuttall and Davidson, both in and out now, and still as close as they were before they came in, as it race on pit exit as well. This is how close it is. So nice to see that Davidson has been able to re-close the gap. Bit more bravery, maybe a bit of dirty air going the way of Davidson to put him on the back foot, but the top 2 still very close, as we'd love to see the pit stop. However, the paddock building not allowing that one.
Yeah, unfortunately they've decided that they'll put the camera will be up behind at the other end. I was trying to see if we can catch them leaving, because they both really, really close here. So there's one. Oh yeah, Davidson was never going to get there. I thought he might have got there, but he didn't, unfortunately. Mav Gardner still battling out with Hamlin. Consal, guess who's got in front of him? And he's 5.5 seconds up the road. Kieran Sharp in 3rd place, sir.
Nicely done from Kieran Sharp. It's been a champion's drive, but arguably maybe all in vain, at least in the short term, because if he's unable to close the 20-second gap to Liam Giles, he's not, well, unless he wins this race, he's not going to be making net gains in the championship. But what he is doing is reducing the damage, and it's going to go a long way. Like we say, in a short season, only 6 races, every point counts, and he's going to be grateful that he's picked up these couple, because it might be the margin that he wins by in Sebring.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Tesco's advert, or is it Asda? Every little counts. And
every little helps. James,
every little helps, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, you know, every little does help. So, fair play to him.
Absolutely ashamed. As does Save Money, Live Better.
Oh, whatever.
Wow. Every little counts as well. Didn't even get it right.
Save them pennies and the pounds will look after themselves.
Who says that?
Oh, I don't know. It was on a TV programme I once watched.
Oh, really? How long ago was that? What colour was your hair? Sorry, no, that's...
What?
Back then, back when you were...
Back along when I was a poor boy. No, it wasn't that long ago, actually. The programme was quite funny. It was about a woman bank robber as well, who made money through coupons. So there we go. Anyway, but Consal and Kana having a fight on the way up into Ferradura, the right-hander. Is he going to be able to make it round the outside? I don't think he is. Consal's got to look at the inside and get it defended if he can. And Thomas Garner just cannot get there. He can't get the inside. He'll be on the outside again. And now we've got Louis Heskev in the GTPs, who really cannot do a lot. He's blocked in. They're fighting. You can't go anywhere, boys. And, well, in the end, they kind of force their way through.
Yeah, it's always a little bit on the edge of your seat when it comes to any form of lap traffic, particularly the middle sector at Interlagos, because as fantastic of a circuit as it is, it does get quite cramped at times, especially when you've got, how many cars did we have start this race? Upwards of sort of nearly 30, I think about 26 or 27 or so up there. And yeah, it's not the longest circuit in the world either, so it does get quite cramped. Thomas Garner, though, continuing on, of course, P11 overall, that's 4th place in class. Just looking at those that still need to take their pit stop, I think everyone's been able to tick it off, apart from you, James Parfitt, you naughty boy.
Yeah, I haven't unfortunately taken mine. I don't feel it's the right opportunity. I'm just going to come from the field now and win the race.
Win the race. Nice. Yeah, there you go.
So I don't really feel I need to have a pit stop. However,
do you know what really annoys me about your name is the fact that you've got a lowercase j but not a lowercase p.
I know. Do you know what's even worse? Is before it was changed, it used to be all capital letters in the surname.
Oh, so it was just James Parfitt really at the end.
Yeah, it's like you're shouting at each other. But Nuttall and Davidson, however, are coming back together. I'd like to point out, you had Nuttall and Sharp. That's not going to happen. And I had Bekirden and Davidson. And, well, I'm definitely not going to happen unless Davidson comes and takes the win. So one of us is going to be right.
Not necessarily. Well, yeah, about the GTPs, yeah, not necessarily. Neither of us are going to be right about the GT3s. That's a long lost cause unless Giles and Southfield both hand in hand disconnect from this race.
Because that wouldn't be too nasty at all, to be blatantly honest. So
no,
I'd rather they didn't do that.
That would be heartbreaking for both of them, and just because I predicted Kieran Sharp does not give me any unprecedented bias. Oh my goodness me, getting close there to the back end of the McLaren as Jamie Nuttall tries to power his way to the outside of both the McLaren and the Ferrari. They put an extra lap on the GT3s. That's the 1-2-3 of Thomas Hemmler and the McLaren, the 88 of Marcio Lopez in behind. So they managed to work their way through on the pair of them. No major dramas, although it did get a little bit close. Maybe a slightly better exit from Davidson as he powers his way out of that final corner. He looks close, and this is a golden opportunity, one that he cannot miss this late in the race.
You know, for me, it's really weird, right? You almost want to go into Davidson's voice chat and call him a load of names. He just don't look aggressive enough. You know what I mean? He almost looks like you take him in for a prize fight, and instead of wearing boxing gloves, he'll wear a tutu. You know what I mean? It's just not looking like he even wants to win the race, and I don't quite understand that, because he had the moment then when they were messing around with the GT3s. He could have gone through. He had the moment again coming down the straight. He just doesn't look like he wants to take a victory here, and that just seems crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the initial thought that come to my mind was he's waiting for the right time. But when is going to be the right time if you've had traffic open the door and you've just had that amazing run that you were literally side by side with him for? At what point do you say, well, hang on, no, this is my time? You've got 5 minutes left to go in the race. You know, you've been investing in the end game. This is the end game. This is the final battle. And you need to find a way through. Of course, there's more traffic to contend with. That's Matt Gardner. Of course, it's always courageous to go to the outside of a fast left-hander like that, where the GT3s are always under a lot of load that's going to push them out wide, but both of them make their way through quite cleanly. You've got a long portion of this track spent full throttle. This is that time. A limited amount of traffic in front of you to contend with, one car for the foreseeable future before you then get to a pretty big chunk. But even then, there's no look or ascend or anything. He's waiting for it to be handed to him on a silver platter.
Yeah, he needs to go. Go! Come on, you've got GT3. Block him in, son. Do something with him. It's like an episode of Strictly Come Dancing. Are we watching that, or are we watching a Tom Davidson playing? You know, it's like a nature program. Is the lion playing with his food? I don't even think the lion's got teeth to chew the food at the moment. He's just not aggressive, but I don't get it. He goes out and takes a victory at Spa, and then he comes here and he's doing a line dance.
He's being
I'm sorry, Tom, if you watch this back. Yeah, you're just... You're almost like patting him on the head and wanting to give him a cuddle to go past him. I don't get this.
Just let it be known that James Parfitt was being nice to Jack Southfield, but ripping into Tom Davidson. What has happened? The insanity that's descended the commentary box. Tom Davidson, sort it out, son. You've got 3 minutes left. That's going to translate into 2 laps at the line. Well, yeah, it's going to take him about 20 seconds to get to the line, isn't it? So probably 2 laps at the line. We'll probably see maybe if it's going to be 3. We'll, of course, find out. But look at how close he is. The slipstream that you're going to get is ridiculous. Obviously, Nuttall knows how to position the car in order to defend, but the gap closing, is it closing enough? He has a small little look, but he's not even trying to apply any pressure, because even if you don't go for a tangible, materialized move, you still go for a mind punt.
Do just anything. I'd be happy if he sent it in and put both of them into the shadow realm. I couldn't care if there was just a little ounce, an ounce of aggression for Tom Davidson at this moment in time. But for a guy that's sitting, well, he's just got to chuffed it now, hasn't he? The guy that's sitting at 5K, I don't know if they're friends. I don't know if they're in the same room. I don't even know if they're married, right? Whatever is going on, Davidson just does not want to pass Nuttall. And I physically don't get it. I really don't on this one. And maybe he'll DM me after and probably tell me I'm being a bit harsh and he just couldn't get through, or he damaged, or didn't have the pace, or lacked confidence, or some out of the driver excuses playbook. But yeah, for me, he had an ample opportunity. He's had ample opportunity to make their moves, and he hasn't.
No, you're not wrong. And that's something. That's
how
something
did
I
that
don't
word
often
taste?
say. I know.
You can say that. You don't check yourself on that one, mate.
Yeah, sometimes. It was a tough pill to swallow, to be honest. Anyway, we're working our way onto what isn't the white flag lap. It's going to be close, actually. I think they've just made it by about a couple of seconds or so. Of course, we'll see what it's going to be by the time they reach it. But I think the white flag has to wait for the final lap, right? So
yeah.
Even if they cut it close and sort of, you know, still make overtime, it's not going to wave the checker flag this lap anyway. So they are going to get 2 more. And time is running out for Tom Davidson. If there hasn't been a right time, make one.
Now, the only exception would be if the time runs out just before they're going to go over the line for the white flag. That's the only way it will flag the checkers. But it's very rare that even happens. Normally it flies it on the one before. But I just, yeah. I feel like I might get a DM from Tom after this, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll deal with that later. Our job is to add value, add insight, I don't know, add excitement.
We're trying to tell a story, and at the moment, I've only got a front cover to go by.
We've got the blurb.
Yeah, I've got the blurb at the back of the picture. I can't tell a story because at the moment there ain't any story to tell. Nuttall's gone out, Nuttall's won, Nuttall's dominated. Southfield's done the same. Davidson, I got a title. What could have been?
What could have been, and is it going to be the checker flag? It is. So Jamie Nuttall ticks off a sensational 3rd victory of the season here at Interlagos. Tom Davidson comes home a very close 2nd place. But what could have been maybe a bit more courage, maybe a bit more bravery to go the way. There is Jack Southfield, though. What has been a routine victory for the Mustang. He has faced everything. Kieran Sharp, Thomas Cano, Rodriguez Cancel, and Thiago Pinho to come across the line. They were lapped by the time the leaders made it to the checkered flag, so they could complete the podium and complete the rest of the top 5. But there is Jack Southfield, and well, it's not quite 30 seconds, but I suppose 10 seconds will do.
Yeah. He's another one who ain't really had much to worry about for Jack. He's gone about and done his business and has done it well. Again, 2 wins in a row for Jack, and I think he's done a great job. So fair play to him.
Fair play indeed. And well, there was a little bit of confusion with the checkered flag, maybe not for the drivers, but definitely for us, as there wasn't a white flag nor a checkered flag. Barney was just having a lazy day. Maybe his arm's sore, maybe we'll let him off, I don't know. Anyway, Jack Southfield, he is on form in the last week, and it's going to be victory for round number 4 of the Sim Racing Collective Sports Car Series in the GT3s for Jack Southfield. Liam Giles will come home in 2nd place, but what a victory it is for Jack Southfield. The 2nd one, of course, of the season. Both races that he's competed in this season, he's won. Spa at round 2, Interlagos at round 4. And the pattern that we have to go off there is he's going to be back at Sebring to finish it off there as well. We'll run you through the results, of course, as soon as we get them up, and there they are. Jamie Nussel completes a hat-trick of victories in 4 races. His worst finish, of course, a 2nd place. Tom Davidson from Vialli Rumbouts, the top 3. Then comes Martin Blankenstein from Louis Hesketh, the top 5 in the GTPs. Will Bradford rounds off the top 6. Jack Southfield is the one that wins in the GT3s from Liam Giles and Kieran Sharp, making the most of a terrible day, or at least a very terrible start to this race. Thomas Carner from Juan Rodriguez Cancel from the top 11 overall. Tiago Pinho from Mav Gardner, the 805, up 8 places to 7th overall. Marcio Lopez from Stefan Huter. Thomas Hemmler from Jose Monteaguido in 17th. Grant Miller from Guillaume Hamling, Joachim Pinot, Joe Pinder, Ian Pfeiffer, another GTP, although a long way down from Volkan Bakirden, who most certainly is going to be taking his drop score. He finishes effectively 2nd place in this race. Those are the points he scores and becomes our GT3 championship leader, despite the fact he's had a terrible day. Gagli Conchabo from Matteo De Luca and a lonely James Parfitt, who didn't do a single lap this race because he was busy doing something else, I think. Nonetheless, a slow burner, that race. The initial start was quite chaotic, and then as the race sort of bled on, not a whole amount of drama, but definitely a lot of suspense.
Yeah, there was, and the drama was because obviously there was just lack of it. Once his cars got spread out, and obviously once we had people spinning and crashing and doing all those wonderful things at the beginning, I got to pick up on what Shroom said in YouTube chat. He's put, why so mean? Because I think Shroom, the expectation of Tom Davidson is so much more. He's gone from being the Rottweiler at Spa to a dash hound that's laid on his back with his legs in the air and got his belly tickled in Brazil, and that's it. That's literally how I could put it.
Well, savage. I wasn't quite going to go that harsh, but no, I do agree. I mean, in some capacity, it's not been good enough for Tom Davidson, especially when Nussel, coming into this, was 15 points ahead in the championship. And you need to maximize each and every single point that you can get. 2 rounds left to go, though, and that gives us a maximum points haul of 60 in terms of positions, and of course an additional point for fast lap. So we've got 62 points left to be won, and Jamie Nussel wants to win each and every single one of them.
Yeah, do you want to have a quick chat with Louis Hesketh, though, who's sitting there patiently waiting for you in the booth?
Yeah, I will do indeed. Let's see if we can get him in. Have we got the power to do that? No, we don't.
No, still don't have
that'll be a no then, because we can't get him in.
We're going to have to message Louis and say, can't, hold on, we can resolve this. Yeah, come here, Louis, come here. Hold on. Just jump in booth, no power. So let's see what he does and jump, whether or not he just comes straight into the booth. If he doesn't, then we'll wrap it up, because we got IGP in about 35 minutes to go.
Well, you do. I'm off to bed.
That's because some of us are men. Others are just children.
Wow, that's hard. I'm a man. I'm getting a tattoo tomorrow. Thank you very much. That's a very grown-up thing to do. I don't know.
Can you grow a beard?
No.
Then you're still a boy, bro.
I have to shave it weekly because the stubble's annoying. There he is. Anyway, Louis Hesketh, before me and James descend into even more anarchy. Louis, P5 today, talk us through the challenges of Interlagos, because with the GT3s on track with you, it's always going to be a tricky one.
Oh, well, it was a very interesting race. For some reason in this series, I cannot have a straightforward race. It was turn 2, sorry. The black GTP in front of me, not sure who it is, suddenly slammed, not sure if he slammed on, oversteered, lost speed or whatever, but I realised what was happening too late and slammed on whilst turning, so unfortunately I got put into a spin. But I was quite happy with my comeback, to be honest with you. I unfortunately took tyres in the pits by accident, so I lost a bit of ground, but I'm happy to have been able to crawl back up to P5 after all the stuff that's happened to me today.
It seems to be quite a tough race for a lot of people, especially at the start. I mean, you bounced back quite well, and I suppose, what are your expectations for the final 2 rounds at Monza and Sebring?
Well, Monza, I'm not looking forward to that round. I can't agree with the track, so I may just I'll stick around and see what happens for me, but I'm not expecting high hopes. But Sebring, it's one of my favorite tracks. I've got a lot of wins around that track, so I'm expecting some good for me there.
Interesting. And what do you actually like about Sebring, to be honest? Because I don't. I'm interested.
I love the high speed of it. How high speed you have to take all the corners. How on edge the car can be at times, especially if turn one exit. I love the bumps too. I love seeing cars struggle over the bumps, and yeah.
Fair enough. I respect it. At least you didn't descend into bashing Silverstone in respect of Sebring. At least you've got some nice things to say about it. It's just a debate that me and James have on a number of occasions. Anyway, congratulations on P5 today, Louis, and of course, best of luck for the rest of the season, the 2 rounds that we've got ahead of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you too for streaming.
Louis Hesketh P5 at the end of the running today, up 2 places as well to go with it. And James, well, to round off, another round in the books for the sports car series. 2 rounds to go. Monza, Sebring. What are you looking forward to most?
Sebring.
Of course.
Unfortunately, it is what it is, isn't it? Louis, we can't kick you out, by the way. We haven't got the power to move you. So if you want to just disconnect whenever you're ready, you're fine.
Right. Thank you.
Take care. Any more than I can pull in, I'm going to presume that's Vulcan Bekirden. You know what I mean? I think Kieran needs to sort permissions out here.
He doesn't trust us, that's what it is.
No,
we've been
clearly
broadcasting
not.
for him for 2 years and he doesn't trust us.
No, it's been a while and I don't even have power to write in the PC chat, in the sports car chat.
Do you not? I don't either. Oh my word.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to sort that out.
Yeah, I'm going to message him saying no power in Discord here, son.
I'm ashamed. I've got to say, I'm disappointed in Kieran Sharp. And after all the nice things we said about it, he had like 3 laps of uncut coverage as well. It's despicable. Absolutely despicable. Unfortunately, of course, the racing is done. You've got a commitment to run off to. And that's going to round it off for round number 4 of the Sim Racing Collective Sports Car Series. We took, of course, to the Autódromo José Carlo Pache, of course, Interlagos, as it's better known here in Sao Paulo. It's been a brilliant race as we head to the final 2 rounds of the season. My name has been Zach Sweeney. I've had James Parfitt alongside me in the commentary box. Thanks to everyone watching along at home, all the fans, friends and family of the drivers taking part in this fantastic championship. Whether you've been watching on the JP Broadcasting or the Sim Racing Collective YouTube channel, make sure to like, subscribe and turn the bell on for notifications to stay up to date with all things sim racing. For myself and James, though, it's goodbye and we'll see you in Monza.